Good afternoon to everyone. I'm proud to be joined by Senators Murray, Stabenow, and Rosen. So later today, the Senate's going to have a chance to make our community safer. That is, if Republicans still believe what they said a few years ago. Martin Heinrich will come to the floor and attempt to pass a federal ban on bump stocks. I'm also proud to support it. As you know, the MAGA Supreme Court reversed a Trump ruling to ban bump stocks, a radical decision that endangers our communities and law enforcement. Last week's decision is another warning that this MAGA court is going off the deep end on issue after issue, aligning with the most extreme elements of the hard right. I'll let Senator Rosen explain how deeply heart-wrenching this decision is, as she knows too well. So today's UC, it's not a simple choice, it's a life-saving one. I beg our Republican colleagues to truly reflect on the ramifications of today's UC. On reproductive freedom. Yesterday, I took the first step for the Senate to vote on the Reproductive Freedom for Women Act, led by Senator Murray and co-sponsored not just by me, but every single female Democratic senator. The measure affirms a woman's fundamental right to choose, calls for enshrining the protections of Roe into law, which most Americans support. As Majority Leader, I'll work with my colleagues to bring it to the floor as soon as possible. Our crusade on reproductive rights will continue when we return to session after the July 4th break. As we approach the two-year anniversary of Roe v. Wade being overturned, this month was meant to be one of bipartisanship, when the Senate came together to protect the rights of millions of Americans' reproductive freedoms. Could have been a month when both sides came together to pass common-sense legislation protecting reproductive care, like contraception and IVF. Could have been a month when we put to rest the worries of millions of Americans across America enduring attacks on their reproductive freedoms in the aftermath of Roe. But instead, June has been a month of MAGA Republicans showing their true colors as their attacks on women, on families, on reproductive rights comes to light. They were told by some of their right-wing pro-life leadership, keep your mouths shut. We're going to force them to vote. If they don't want to talk about it, if they run away from questions when you ask them, they're still going to have to vote. And that's what matters most to the American people. In the last few weeks, Senate Republicans have shown that for all their attempts to sound moderate on reproductive care when it comes to voting, they choose MAGA extremism over the American people. So, when Republicans blocked federal protection for contraception a few weeks ago, they chose MAGA extremism over the American people. When Republicans blocked federal protections for IVF a few days ago, they chose MAGA extremism over the American people. And when Donald Trump to this day continues to brag about working with the Senate Republicans to confirm 3 hard-right, vehemently anti-choice Supreme Court justices to eliminate Roe, that's choosing MAGA extremism over the American people. But we're telling our Republican colleagues, you cannot run away from the truth. Your record on women's health care is outright abysmal, shameful, and out of step with most Americans. Senator Murray.